Do they still feel like the wrong subscription?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Like work, bed? Like, well, I guess it's always just going to feel bad until it's
right. Yeah, I mean, it's better.
Yeah.
But still not great. Saving some things.
Do they say at all that it could take a couple of tries to get it right since it's your first pair of glasses? Have you read anything on Reddit? Our glasses?
No. Not really. I mean, okay. Just going to go back and try again.
Try and try again until you're no longer blind.
I might go somewhere else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask a friend here about his...
Because they all have different things they say about it.
Everybody has a different thing that they've said.
It's like, it's the same like when you try to lose a weight. Like, oh, you shouldn't do this. You should do that. It's the same thing. Oh, well, no, we'll do this and then that.
You know what you should do? Just rip out your eyes.
Yeah. Who needs them?
Yeah. Eyes are overrated.
Yeah.
You're going to wake up middle of the night and have a spoon.
Minority Report.
Is that a thing? Carve someone's eyes out with a spoon?
No, they have to... He gets an eye transplant because that's how they, identify people.
Oh.
They scan your retina, and so he gets an eye transplant. That's a great scene.
I need to watch a movie still.
That's if you want to... because there's a scene where it's after his surgery, and he's supposed to keep the bandages on, but he's trying to hide from these little robots that are coming in to scan eyes.
Oh, okay.
So he's blindly going around this apartment trying to hide from these little drone things, and it's a great tension.
Do you got a thing about people touching their eyeballs? Is that you, or is that someone else?
I got a thing with teeth.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't like teeth.
Oh, I mean, nope. Yeah.
Yeah. Halloween, you drop teeth stuff. I don't like teeth stuff.
That's fair. Who is it that doesn't like eyeballs?
A lot of people. I think that's a natural reaction.
To not like watching somebody touch their eyeball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's very fight or flight. You know what I mean? It's very
I just think of Ace Ventura when H calls.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I don't care for that. And I'm not
let's go.
horrified, but I don't care for that. I'm going to go ahead and say a lot of viewers didn't like that either. For those listening, he touched his eyeball.
And I pushed it into my skull a little bit.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is
Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.
What is up with the noises?
I don't know. It's the energy of the song, trying to keep it going for people, man.
Welcome back to TJ's Mixtape. I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. We are a movie review podcast. We talk about movies, who made them, who's in them, the themes of them, and then we give it a rating. The rating at the end is arbitrary, but it is a nice way to end it. And it is just our opinion. If we did or did not like it, does not reflect on you. It's just our opinion.
Exactly. Because people have
take
opinions.
it personally.
People have opinions.
And they take it personally when you don't like it. And so we will be rating it at the end out of a 5-carat system. How many carats did it get? And this week, we are doing
The Last Duel.
2021's The Last Duel.
But first,
the game, which I forgot to play again.
do you remember who it was? Did you write? Yeah,
I wrote it down. I just never look at that page again. Keanu Reeves to Kristen Bell.
Yep. I had to use IMDb, but as soon as I pulled up IMDb, it became a 1 immediately.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves is in Resurrections with Jonathan Groff.
Don't know that movie.
Oh, sorry. Matrix Resurrections.
Oh, okay.
Jonathan Groff, who's the new Agent Smith.
Okay.
The recast of Agent Smith.
Okay.
And he's in Frozen with Kristen Bell.
No, easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
I forgot that movie even happened.
Resurrections. Mm-hmm. So did I.
Forgot about that movie.
That was a great cast. Additional cast.
That is a franchise that did not need more than one.
No.
You could have stopped at the first one.
We did the first one.
First one's good.
Yeah.
Still good. Still fun.
The Wachowskis
aged a little bit, but
yes. But yeah,
still fun.
So we'll at the end of this episode have another connection.
I really want to remaster The Path of Neo.
I never played that one. I played the one
Enter the Matrix.
Yeah, the other one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because there's
The Path of Neo, you play the games. You just play his
the
story.
movies, yeah. But that whole scene in the Frenchman, he's jumping on. You can jump on the walls and grab all the weapons.
Oh, yeah.
And use them and stuff. It was pretty cool. Anyways, so
speaking of using weapons,
for those of you that don't know what The Last Duel is, which sounds like that's a very strong possibility.
it's very true, very possible.
The Last Duel, a quick little synopsis. In the late Middle Ages, two men's feud overflow into their and a woman's life, leading to a violent conclusion.
That's a way to work around it.
Yeah, that was the hard part. Because it's like...
I will, just really quick.
Oh, yeah. Do the thing.
We should do a trigger warning of sexual assault.
Yes.
This movie is very heavily fueled with it. It's really what the inciting action and the crux of it all is. And it's what this story is about.
So, yes. So that's this movie is very revolving around sexual assault. So if that is not something that you want to talk about or listen about, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. And let's get into it.
The book, his full name
is awesome.
Is a true The Last Duel, a true story of crime, scandal, and trial by combat in medieval France.
Yeah.
That is quite the fucking name.
Yes.
But this movie came out in 2021, and we are doing this in the end of our box office flops. We did like 3 2024 movies, and now this one's 2021. We were just looking at a list of stuff, and we are like, this one looks good.
And there were movies that we were interested in.
Yes.
Not just like, oh, well, it was like ones of like, oh, that seemed interesting.
And this might be like the biggest like box office flop.
Yes.
That maybe we have done. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it was originally viewed September 10th, 2021 in Venice. And then theatrical release in the United States, October 15th. A budget of $100 million and box office was 30
million.
Yeah. Like that's a lot.
Well, first, before we get really into it, did you like it?
I did, but I don't think I ever have to watch it again. Like most this is a historical drama. This is true events.
Yeah. Period drama.
I mean, it's all like I was reading each person's Wikipedia page of like their actual history as well, just to see like what. And weirdly, this movie seems very historically accurate.
Well,
as well,
author of the book, Eric Yeager, who is an American literary critic and specialist in medieval literature. Yeah,
he's a professor at the University of California.
He said the movie is about roughly 75% accurate.
Yeah,
because it's also in 3 parts, and we see our 2 leading men's perspective of the situation, and then it ends.
It's all about perspective.
On her perspective, but there are no real accounts of her perspective because of the time period that it was in.
Yes.
So they
had to
kind of fill in the gaps a bit on her, which
makes it then interesting.
The 1300s France, that kind of is what
the 14th century.
Yeah.
Late 1300s. It's right before the Crusades. If you guys know your medieval European history.
Yes.
But yeah. Oh, really quick for 2021, did you do a movie count?
30.
I had 20.
I was kind of like, wow, I remember a lot of these movies coming out and I didn't watch a goddamn one of them.
It was a lot of just like the top ones. Like
the big ones I saw, but none. And then there was a couple I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to see
that. This came out in a very specific specific time, I'm going to say, for the world because of COVID and the pandemic.
Yeah, and the shutdowns and everything.
This movie actually was put on hold due to the pandemic. And I actually think that's why it was such a box office flop.
I think that's a factor, but I just don't think people care about this kind of movie anymore.
True, and I think that's a big thing as well.
Right
and
now.
I think the pandemic also, because there was a lot of shifts, even like just not just like how people in just media, but socially, like since everyone was forced to be staring pretty much at their computer TV for a couple of months, there was a lot of social download.
Well, and it's also kind of leading into our director Ridley Scott. Mm-hmm. Ridley Scott kind of makes bummers.
Yeah.
And at a time when people are feeling bummed, I don't think this kind of thing was their go-to.
Yeah.
Like, his whole repertoire is kind of bummers. He doesn't make like a feel-good movie.
Bummer.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
They're all intense, usually intense dramas, or like I only saw 2 that don't really fit in that criteria.
I mean, I think the lightest one maybe
Legend.
I was just gonna say Legend. Yeah.
Well, because I mean, I wrote like down Alien, Blade Runner,
yep.
Legend, G.I. Jane, Gladiator,
Kingdom of Heaven,
American Gangster,
Yeah.
Hannibal. It's like they're not like, oh yeah, let's watch a Ridley Scott movie.
I always forget that he directed Hannibal.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like I mean that's I love that movie. It's just
I think that's probably my favorite of that franchise. I like
it's
that
the
one.
best one, really, in my opinion. In certain aspects, I don't know. Like Silence of the Lambs is absolutely fantastic.
I think it goes Hannibal, Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon. I don't really like Red Dragon that much.
I mean, that one's leave it, take it or leave it type thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not bad, it's not good. Well, it's not bad, it's not great.
I don't even count Hannibal Rising.
I mean, that's fair. I forgot about that one, honestly. But I kind of want to like just really quick touch note on this whole pandemic thing and with this box office because of that shift of how everyone stopped going to the theaters as much because of it. And even like once like things started opening back up, there was still a lot of trepidation from people to go out and be in closed quarters like a movie theater, you know? And then like, and then we have like the reaction to that of old man Ridley Scott. And what did he say? Do you have it?
What did he say?
Yeah, about like blaming on millennials pretty much.
In a podcast interview, he was just going off on like the millennials are the reason because we don't have the attention span to consume media that is not via our phones.
It's just funny that he would have. It's like we just went through this weird pandemic of everybody being shut down, and that's your focus on why the movie wasn't a success at the theaters. Like the world would just magically pick back up, and everybody would be rushing to the theaters to see your movie again.
Yeah,
you know,
like yeah,
it's a little close like horse blinders type thing, you know?
Yeah.
Really tunnel visioned. And even because I read as well in a continuation of that Ben Affleck, his response to it was, well, I mean, obviously, you know, I've released movies that I thought were really good that bombed, kind of like this, and I've also released really bad movies that went really good, and you're just like, you take it or leave it. But then when the streaming came out and they saw how much it picked up, they're like, and he was like, and there's our audience, you know. Since this came out in a time when box office and movies, I think 2021 and 2022, I think all of these numbers are just kind of weird because people are still figuring out how they want to. Is it worth to go to the theaters for? Do we want to go? That's why movie theaters are kind of dying, you know?
Well, I mean, but that's also the studios discussing how are we going to go about
promoting this,
it.
How are we going to get the butts in the seats?
Do we want to deal with the theater at all, or we just want to put it on streaming? And I mean, I think that's a huge factor. But then it's like even with the whole like recent release of Gladiator 2 coming out, Ridley Scott.
But that was also just why. Why do we need this?
I think in general, like, right, I just think, you know, it's an ever churning kind of trend of what the film industry is and what your audience is looking for. And I just don't think right now is the time for big period, high budget things like they were back when those movies were really successful. Because I mean, like, that's the thing about Ridley Scott too, is if you look at his list,
it's amazing.
It's amazing. He has made some really incredible big names.
He
but it's
really is one of the greatest filmmaker minds in our history.
For these big blockbusters, you know, these big pieces of like a lot of information and a lot of visual stimuli. But I just like...
Isn't Gladiator considered one of the most historically inaccurate movies ever made?
I don't want to confirm or deny that because I'm not sure.
I think I've read that somewhere, but yeah.
I've read Braveheart has a lot of inconsistencies and inaccuracies. Like even like they weren't wearing kilts yet.
Oh, interesting.
Like culturally, and everyone in that movie is wearing a kilt, and they're like, they didn't do that yet.
Mel Gibson's like, I don't know what I want.
Yeah, I want a fucking kilt, you. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. But I just then because I was really thinking about it, and I was like, I loved this movie. I didn't say my opinion. I thought it was really interesting, really slow burn.
Yeah, you were really uninterested at first.
I was so uninterested because that's the thing, though. It's like, and I love these kind of period dramas too, but even I'm fatigued of them. Mm-hmm. And even to the point of like something like 300. I don't even think 300, if it was to be released today, would really do that well. And it's just like, I just don't think that right now audiences really care. There's so much going on now that I think that I don't think people care about looking back in that sense of these. I'm not saying 30 years ago. I'm saying in these ancient times, you're jumping back hundreds of years. I just don't really feel like audiences care right now.
When did The Favorite come out? That came out did I come out in 2019 or was that 2022?
2019?
Okay.
Here, let me look real quick.
It's close enough in time. I'm going to ask, why do you think The Favorite was more well received than this?
Because The Favorite, yes, was a period piece, but it was a quiet period piece. It wasn't this giant. I mean, great. It was a big production, obviously, with costumes and sets. And what I mean is like, it was quiet. It was very dialogue driven in the sense of a lot of human interaction, and this kind of, and I liked it because Ridley Scott does big battle scenes like fucking dope. And the lizard man brain to me is
and really quick. The Favorite is Yorgos Lanthimos, right?
Yeah. And kill him. It's like that's lizard part of my brain, and I think that's what it is. And I think it's because the performances between the trifecta of them was just inherently more interesting. And this was interesting, but it's the idea of the what's it called? The
unreliable narrator.
The unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
It inherently created and it was supposed to, it created a kind of chugging along, chopping motion because you're rewatching the same scene over and over again, but just slight differences in the perspective.
A little more hint here, something different camera angle.
And I just think
different performance.
Yeah, and it was just it's still a period drama, but it was very different because it was more subtle. I think That's Favorite.
And we'll get into that more with my last final thought, and then we can talk more about everybody in this as well. Is I kind of think the biggest problem with 2018 is whatever the message that they were going for. They kind of fell short, because if you're going to create a period drama, a historical piece like this, why are we retelling the story for today's audiences? What is it? What are you trying to speak to us? What is the parallel between who we are now to who they were then? And The Favorite, I feel like, made it more relatable, and this felt like it was trying to, and it missed. But yeah, we'll get into that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think back on like Marie Antoinette, which was even like a stylized period piece that we did.
Yeah, but that wasn't very well received as well.
Yeah, but I think it made its point.
It did.
Its message was pretty clear.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how the period pieces that we've done.
Yeah.
And
well, so we have talked good amount about Ridley Scott, and we did bring up Eric Jager. Let's go into our writers and starring. Solo on screenplay with also Matt Damon and Ben. Another thing I'll say is Nicole Holofcener.
That was all you.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up, and I'm having a hard time remembering properly. I think that's right. Holofcener.
Nicole is a writer and director. Nothing I really recognize personally.
A lot of indie movies from 1996 to present, like 8 or 9, some like shorts. I just wrote down 2, or it seemed to be their most popular ones from it. One has Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Catherine Keener is in like almost all of them. The first 6 films that she did has Catherine Keener in it. Walking Tall and Lovely and Amazing. But yeah, so this is it was interesting to see her put onto this, and I really wanted to see if I could find information how she was involved, because all I see in involvement is they bought the rights to the book and back in 2015. And it wasn't until 2019 when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck joined the production to then also star and write the film.
Well, because there was the Disney-Fox merger that was happening, and I think Disney was playing kind of easy for a minute before it started producing a lot of stuff, especially of this kind of nature. And I kind of feel like they were forced to do it because what I was reading was a lot of studios wanted to make this.
Yeah.
And the second they let go of the rights, these other studios are going to swoop in. They're like, all right, clearly there's something here, so let's just bite the bullet and
make but that doesn't explain how Nicole is like. I wanted to learn about her involvement more, and there was nothing about it, which I think is interesting and counterintuitive to what the message of the movie is too.
How?
Because this is I feel like a big theme of this movie is a woman's voice.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can't find the woman's voice in the script, how she's involved, where her involvement was. Yeah.
I see.
Yes. But Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Matt Damon we have done before.
Twice.
Mm-hmm. Brothers Grimm and
Titan AE.
Oh yeah. Okay. We've done a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
I also put down The Departed because it's one of my favorite movies.
What did I put down? The Oceans series.
And some of my favorite movies.
Dogma and Bourne.
It's interesting when we're like looking through these lists, just like I feel like I've watched a lot more Ridley Scott than I have. Like I haven't actually watched a lot of Ridley Scott movies, but I'm so familiar with his works. And then I think of someone like Matt Damon, how I've seen so much of his body of work, and I'm going out of the way to watch Matt Damon. He just happens to be in so many things that
he was
enjoy.
there forever.
Oh
too.
yeah.
I think I've seen pretty much all of Ridley's movies.
I've never seen The Martian.
Saw that.
I've never seen Kingdom of Heaven.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Kingdom of Heaven.
I can't sit through Gladiator. Like, I've watched it in enough like split up parts that I know the story of it more or less, but I've never been able to actually sit through Gladiator. I don't find it interesting.
Robin Hood, I did skip that.
I didn't watch that either.
That didn't seem interesting at all to me. Yeah, all his alien movies. I've seen, I think, majority. I didn't watch House of Gucci.
I haven't seen that one.
Napoleon, I tried to watch and turn that shit off.
How long is that? 4 hours long, or is that the director's cut?
I think it's the director's cut. Like right here on IMDb, it's 2 hours and 38 minutes. I don't know. I could not give a flying fuck about that movie. I really didn't like it.
Talk about historical fucking biopics that don't do anything.
Oh God, it was just so droning. Ugh. Anyways, yeah, that's Matt Damon.
Ben Affleck. We've never done Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck. I almost said it like Bert.
Have we?
I don't think we have. I'm asking you if we have. Oh yeah, and then you're trying to think. Yeah, okay. I'm following your track of thought with my track of thought now.
What?
I was like, have we done it? And you're like, never mind. Never mind.
I didn't look him up because I didn't put him really down as like one of our main stars.
That's fair.
Because he's not.
Oh, I have him up there because I do the writers first, and since he's a writer, this was a confusing one to kind of put in order.
I just wrote down when he wrote, Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, him and Matt Damon wrote Good Will Hunting together. They won Best Original Screenplay that year for newcomers into Hollywood. They took it by storm.
Gone Baby Gone. I really want to watch because that looked.
Did he write that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's with J-Lo, isn't it?
I don't know, some detective murder mystery thing.
Not what I was thinking. I think then.
Are you thinking of Gigolo? No, what's it called?
No. Jiggly or Geely.
Geely or
dude, it's still that movie has a 2.6 on IMDb.
Wow.
One of the best scenes of all time.
Oh, here it is. Gone Baby Gone. Yeah, 2 Boston area detectives investigate a little girl's kidnapping, which ultimately turns into a crisis both professionally and personally.
Let me guess. It stars Casey Affleck.
Let's see. Let's see if you're right. Morgan Freeman, Ed Harris, Casey Affleck.
Ha ha, motherfucker.
It's got a 7.6 psychological thriller.
It sounds familiar. I'm sure if I was to look at some screenshots, I'd be like, oh, that movie. Yeah.
That's a great cast. Morgan Freeman, Ed Harris, and Casey Affleck. I like Casey Affleck a lot.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
I love him in a comedic role, too, because he's so serious.
I've only ever seen him in serious stuff.
Oh, really? Uh-huh. He's really funny in the Ocean's movies.
I've never really.
I don't. It blows my mind. I don't know why.
It just doesn't interest me.
I don't know how or why.
It just doesn't. I don't know. I watch Ocean's 8. I've seen that one.
It's like not even the same, but it is. It's like it upsets me.
I watch that because it's Sandra Bullock. I like Sandra Bullock.
I liked all of them in that actually. All right, let's go through Adam Driver because we've already done him as well. We just did him recently in White Noise.
Yes. And then we talked about him in Star Wars.
Excuse me. Yep, he's Kylo Ren. And then our leading lady happens to also be in one of the Star Wars movies.
Yes.
Jodie Comer, who played Ray's mom in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Forget which one. What I don't know.
Who cares?
Yep. In one of them, she is in Free Guy, and she's in The Bike Riders, which I actually really want to watch that. Austin Butler, Tom Hardy.
Killing Eve.
Yeah, Killing Eve show. And she was motion capture in a video game with David Harbour. Alone in the Dark remake.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. And then honorable mentions of Harriet Walker, who plays Nicole. And then I put Ben Affleck because he was my favorite.
Well, apparently, so I kind of figured this while watching it, is with them being producers, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck being producers, being writers, it felt like it was supposed to be Matt Damon and Ben Affleck as our two leads, not Adam Driver. And I don't know why, but it is on the Wikipedia. They said that Ben Affleck then recast himself as Pierre, and then they brought in Adam Driver
because Pierre was fun.
Yeah, he was like, I don't want to be this guy. I want to be different.
I want to be the mustachio twirling villain. Like and it's like I know he's not. I'm saying
he's just a product of aristocracy at that time.
It's not like I liked him, but it was really fun to see Ben Affleck act like that.
And just be that character.
He was just like
had fun. You could tell that he was having fun.
He was
with
such
the
a
role.
douche and just gross and hedonistic, and it just was like a fun way to
take off your pants.
Yeah, sandals or gold. Sandals or gold.
Gold.
Excellent. I don't know. I just thought Ben Affleck was really fun in this as that mustachio twirling villain type guy.
He's like Lord Farquaad.
Yeah. Like it was weird. He simultaneously fit in and then didn't fit in at the same time. Like he felt like a caricature of an aristocrat. But
also, what aristocrat isn't kind of a caricature of an aristocrat?
Yeah, so it's like I really, really enjoyed his.
Oh, feed me!
yeah, off with his head. And it was like he was really quick and was what's it called? Silver tongued and just really knew how to fucking jab people without actually jabbing, like outwardly jab. You know what I mean?
Like degree, sit. Not degree.
Close, even when he was like swearing his fealty, close to. He was very hedonistic bot. Rub the butter on me.
Well, I think we can get into reviews. If you're ready,
I'm ready.
All right. So,
I was gonna say my review corner is gonna be kind of long because I read a few that I just thought nailed so many points.
I mean, that's fair.
So,
decently high scores on this. IMDb leaves it at 7.3, which I think is very fitting. And then Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit higher. We have an 85% tomato meter, and then an 81% popcorn. So despite its box office floppiness, I don't know how that one makes me laugh. It is a good movie.
Yeah, it's a well done, well acted movie,
and like it's take on everything is really interesting. Actually, it just just that it's not the right time.
So Metacritic has a 67, which is generally favorable.
Really, that's lower than I would expect. So
I thought that too, but it has 34 positive, 15 mixed, and 1 negative. At the tippy top with 100 by Clint Worthington at Consequence. The Last Duel is a testament to male self-delusion and self-mythologizing and the impact it has on the women around them.
Yeah, that's very accurate. It's very. That's kind of where what I was leading at a little bit as well at the beginning. Is I agree with that, but I also it doesn't feel like it's nailing it exactly. It's weird.
Well, couldn't you consider that's kind of the point? Is also because of the fact. I mean, the woman that lives testament isn't really there because of the period of the time. So it kind of fits that it's going to be a little at the end there.
I don't know. As we get
another positive
discourse.
With 88 at Pace Magazine by Brianna Ziegler. Ridley Scott directing a grand, riveting medieval epic that doubles an analysis of gender dynamics might be unexpected, but The Last Duel manages to effortlessly combine Scott's action sensibilities with an empathetic thread between the past and present.
I do like that one because there was a moment, many moments while I've been thinking about this film. It was like, Ridley Scott wanted to send this message? What?
Yeah.
Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, what are you guys trying to cover up?
It's kind of a weird conglomeration of people you wouldn't expect
for what they're the message that's trying to be said.
Yeah.
In this movie. Yeah.
Another positive 80 at Total Film by James Mortgren.
Oh God.
Scott's usual scope and scale meet unreliable narrators for a thought-provoking tale of systematic abuse. In a classy cast, Calmer shines brightest.
Who shines brightest?
Calmer.
Oh, okay.
And I had one more. And this one I liked a lot. By David Sims at The Atlantic, who gave an 80. Scott has long made movies about how systems of powers exist to serve only the powerful. From the faceless corporations of Alien to the indifferent cops of Thelma and Louise, as The Last Duel rumbles to its bloody conclusion, its two leading men clash, it's clear that the filmmaker's allegiance lies elsewhere.
What? The filmmaker's allegiance lies elsewhere? What? I'm confused about that one.
As The Last Duel rumbles to its bloody conclusion and its two leading men clash, it's clear the filmmaker's allegiance lies elsewhere.
Yeah, because he's saying that Ridley Scott makes all of these films about this stuff, but then this movie, I don't know.
I was taking it as his allegiance isn't with the two leading men.
Oh, okay. Which is, yeah. I mean,
that's how I took it.
That makes it make more sense. I thought they were in a larger scale of Ridley Scott's allegiance of filmmaking lies elsewhere than what he's originally done in movies before about power and stuff like that. I was just confused. But I mean, all of those reviews hit exactly on the head of what I felt the movie was doing. I guess, I don't know, just...
I got two more.
Oh, whoa, okay.
The mixed and the negative. Those are just the positive.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So real quick.
I'm used to only having 3, so...
I know, but I just read a lot of them and I liked a lot of them. With a mixed with a 60 at Empire by Dan Jolin. It is not the kind of historical drama you might expect from Ridley Scott, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And if its threefold perspective tests the patience, it at least gives the right character the final word.
Yeah, okay.
And then just at the one negative all the way down at the bottom with a 25 at the New York Post by Johnny Olkinski. Degreasing a stove is a more enjoyable way to spend your Saturday night.
Wow.
And that was all.
Okay. Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Yeah, because, okay. The power dynamics, it's interesting to see it played through the 3 point of views, through the 3 perspectives. Because you get Jean, Matt Damon, right? DeCara. I should have wrote down their names.
I wrote it down. I was sitting there practicing.
Who was it? Jean, Adam Driver was...
Legris.
And then Marguerite. Okay.
Jean de
Carouge, thank you.
Yeah. Well, they say it all. Jean de Carouge.
They say it all the fucking time. You have Carouge perspective, which makes... it's funny because it's really the most... manipulated, untrustworthy in a way. Because of what's historically documented, that it's clear that he's a cantankerous asshole, you know?
Yeah.
But he, in his mind, he's not. He might be a little hot-headed.
He's a knight.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's in service of God and King, his actions are redeemable.
It's like one of the strangest moments, or like, I don't know, interesting is like his perspective of their wedding night. How sweet and gentle he is. And he's like, don't worry, we won't we won't have to or anything. You know, like they don't do anything, and how she's kind of dotes on him. And then when we get to her perspective, how he was just a fucking monster.
Yeah, well, then you look at his mother, and you're like, yeah, no wonder you're emotionally stunted.
Yeah. And then with Degree's point of view,
Legree,
thank you. Legree's point of view, and him, he sees what he's doing as just kind of like fun.
Well, he sees himself as a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
Which I did from the reading they did change that a little bit.
He was a womanizer.
No, I mean even, you know, from her perspective about the actual assault, they changed a little bit
of it, yeah. Like, I read a couple different accounts, actually.
Yeah. From her perspective, he was very, like in the movie, they kind of, even when we get her perspective, it still has this delusion of romance and I love you so, and still not really
like him trying. He
thinks it was just an act of love.
Yeah. And
really delusionally believes that. But in her account, I guess it was way more like he was pretty fucking aware immediately that
he was going to take what he wanted.
Yeah, and was very aware of the consequences and was trying to silence the victim kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in this dramatization of it, I guess, there was this reenactment of it, they still kind of kept true to Legree was just quote unquote in love and was very disillusioned with what he had done as a violent act, and it was this mutual moment of passion between the two of them, and they kind of kept that narrative going for him.
For him.
Yeah. When it was like, sorry.
Well, I feel like they were trying. Yeah. No, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say with going back to the three perspective thing, I just thought it was interesting too, because there wasn't a lot of trickery in the perspective thing, which I, for life of me, cannot give you another example.
What do you mean by trickery?
It wasn't dramatically changing from situation, from perspective to perspective.
Like
it was these
maybe simple moments,
simple little things that were just kind of different. And even like and it does kind of get confusing because of the 3-act system. But like, I think it's when Jean is showing up to his friend's baby shower, and I guess it doesn't matter. It's one of the men, and with the little toad guy, the little courier that's like Adam Driver's Degree's a little right man.
Adam Uval.
Yeah. He, in one of the perspectives, he says, Carouge? Okay. he says, like, he nods and points at the direction and goes, Carouge, kind of secretly and quietly. But then in the wife's perspective, when she's watching and that moment happens, Duval smiles and waves while saying Carouge. Just little things like that. Little moments, you know. So it's like Matt Damon, Jean took it as a hostility, sneaky little moment where he's like, "Oh, look, it's Carouge," and the wife saw it and was like, "Oh no," they were like, "Oh, trying to bury the hatchet." Carouge, you know, just little things like that.
Well, and then there was the perspective of Legree to Marguerite, where she keeps looking at him while she's dancing with Carouge, her husband, and he sees that as trying to.
An invitation.
I flirt with eyes, and she's literally talking with Carouge about, see, wasn't that simple? Just if you be polite.
She's political plotting, almost kind of like play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Play the court game,
you know.
And he takes it as like, ooh, she's interested.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean and that's what I mean by trickery too. It wasn't these big grand like. A lot of times this was happening the whole time, but you kind of know in your heart of heart, no, it wasn't.
One of the best reveals within some of that is from Marguerite's perspective when you find out that the land that Carouge wanted from the dowry was never actually promised to him.
Yeah.
And where it's like right before the wedding, then Carouge is like, where is that land? And he's like, I couldn't give it to you. Like, that's owned by Pierre. Like, I can't give that away. So it's like, even though he's like, through his point of view, how he's like said it was promised to him and then had to appeal, even though it's more like he sued them literally for it, like for something.
Which I didn't know you could do.
Yeah, right. in the late 1300s.
In medieval times in France. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
And then I did my little bit of research of that is like 2 years prior to their marriage is when that plot of land was sold to Pierre. So there was literally no way for it to be given in a dowry. So like even like documented in history, Carouge could have never had that land.
Yeah. But his ego and his vanity got the best of him, basically. Yeah. And that was kind of interesting too, because when we first watched it, I didn't really know. I didn't know that this was going to be like almost like a procedural courtroom drama that it became, which was really interesting.
That would lead to trial by combat.
Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of shift in this direction. And I just thought it was a period piece, and then I thought it was going to be a King Arthur, Guinevere, Lancelot.
I thought it was going to be a love triangle
kind of thing, and it took all these different turns. But even then, it was really cool. You're sitting there in the first act, and you're sitting there, and you're like, God, this fucking Jean dude is going to be a fucking issue.
Yeah.
Even from his perspective, he has this grandiose knight in shining armor mentality, a man of honor, and a man of this, and a man of that.
But he's nothing but a fool, actually.
And you're like, you're really fucking problematic, dude. Your ego is really problematic. And then that's what I mean about the subtlety of everything, that whole saying, for the king, even though those people are getting executed and stuff. And he takes off, and from his perspective, they all rallied behind him for the king, for God. And then it cut, and then Adam Driver, Legrees, he's like, he'll die if we don't go, so we should probably go.
God damn it, fucking.
For the king. And then they all follow him. And it was, I just thought from...
Leroy Jenkins!
What the fuck was that?
That's World of Warcraft. The meme. You know the Leroy Jenkins thing?
No.
Whoa.
But it's like, that's what I mean about the little changes in perspective. It was a very interesting film to watch. It was a little hard to keep track of things until we got like halfway through Legree's story. And then you started really getting it. And I don't know how you would have fixed that unless it was 4 acts and there was like a setup act and then the truths of all 3 of them. Like, I don't know, like no one's perspective, but everyone.
I didn't really have a hard time following it though. I'm just saying I didn't. So
good for you.
I did. I'm not trying to discredit.
Well, it feels that way. So good for you. You're the winner. Chicken dinner. But Fortnite.
Oh no. Oh, what was that one? Never mind.
Okay. But I just think that was a drawback. It took me a little bit too long to start really jiving with what was happening where, because it's not only are you having the 3 different perspectives, you're also having time jumps.
The time jumps was kind of
that's what I'm talking about, and you're like, okay, wait, where are we?
Like, okay, what year are we in right now?
Well, who's doing what?
Yeah. Do
we have the kid yet? No, we don't have the kid. Okay, we don't have the kid yet. But does your friend have his kid? Okay, your friend has his kid, so that's where we're at in this. So
who has a kid besides her?
The baby shower.
Oh yeah.
Like, are we at did we have the baby shower yet? Have we had the meet cute, quote unquote? You know what I mean?
The meet.
His perspective, it was a meet cute to him, and it was not to her. Nope. And even that too. That was a great. That's a weird way to say it, but that was the assault was a really well shot scene because of the fact that we had just seen his, and it was kind of incredible.
His is still very gross as well.
It's at the same moment, though, too. The music changes in both of those scenes, and if you put them next to each other, and it's just crazy because his body language hasn't really changed from his perspective to her perspective. The music changes. It goes from this whimsical kind of romantic, like playful kind of melody to this ominous dark tone. But he himself hasn't really.
Yeah.
He's not like suddenly hunched over going. He's just still like in this
What's
kind of
interesting about the way that it's presented, the assault scene and the two different perspectives is from his point of view how he sees her take off her shoes as an invitation.
Yeah, but it's actually she's running away and they fall off.
And then we see her perspective. It's something like that.
Well, it was just like that. That was even if let's say it was, because you don't know as the audience member what has really happened until the third act, because there's all these different unreliable narrators in your ear telling you one thing and the other, and even with that, even if that was some kind, I was like that doesn't make sense, Lacree. Lacree, that doesn't make sense. It's like, no, that's what happened. You're like, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, it really shows his because of this the twisted perspective of it really shows his twisted sense of self, I guess.
Well, it's his vanity as well.
Yeah, his lack of awareness of. I mean, and I don't want to use this as an excuse for anything for that happened, but as a man of that time, he's a product of what he of that time,
Well, and even like we were talking about too, I didn't realize they had such a
complex system
for these types of allegations.
Yeah,
really medieval.
Very medieval. I mean, medieval by very definition.
Yeah, and then reading a lot of it's kind of just interesting. They had these systems in place, but because of those standing that women had at the time, there was so many hoops to jump through.
Which is why that talk with the mother, when the mother's flat out says like, it happened to me and I just got on with my life.
Yeah.
Because what is it going to do other than either put me to death or put shame to the family name?
Yeah.
So just suck it up.
Well, and at the end of the day, that's her prerogative.
It is, yeah.
That's her decision to make on how she wants to handle the situation. But she shouldn't be scolding. I mean, well, her whole point, too, was like, you're now endangering my son. She's like, no, I'm not. Your son is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It took this turn which I kind of should have known, like knowing Ridley Scott. It was for people to be that surprised by it. You're like, are you though? Because a lot of his movies do have this weird. They're not like a what a twist kind of movie, but a lot of themes get carried in there. Mm-hmm. Like Gladiator's got a lot of stuff going on in it.
Yeah.
G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
Very similar. He does have so it's like not super, all the reviews saying it's so out of character for him. I'm like, not really. I mean, not if you really think about his whole filmography, he does this pretty regularly.
I mean, I think the closest one, because this is such a...
The G.I. Jane.
Oh, yeah, and I was going to say Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, Thelma and Louise and G.I. Jane probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Gladiator has elements of of the more sexual assault kind of acts, but I haven't watched it in forever, but I don't. But
the element is there, but it's not the focus.
It's not the focus, exactly, because our main character is the feud again between two men of Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix. That is the main focus, is that, and then kind of the inciting acts to make us dislike this Emperor Joaquin Phoenix so much is all these horrendous things he does throughout his reign. So that's kind of what they're there to kind of add fuel to our anti-him fire, I think. I
think I just kind of like figured out where the message of the power dynamics that men have versus the voice of a woman and how it echoes through time. And it's like that theme does ring true very still to this day. But where it misses and how it is presented it just misses the mark with its presentation, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is how it ends. This movie ends.
The end, like the actual
ending
is really, I didn't care for it. I don't know what you...
Because I think, so... Because of how this movie its theme is about perspective as well, and then the truth of narrative, and how that truth can, women's voices are silenced through a lot of these things, and all of that. And then, but somehow through all of this, it is still the glorified victory of Carouge winning, and he's celebrated through the streets and whatnot. And it how that shows this like overshadowing of what Marguerite has gone through. And in the final, these almost the final moments, we see Carouge, like I said, through the streets being cheered and celebrated. And then we cut to kind of like this low angle look of her on the horse and the muffled silence.
And she's still in shock.
And she's in shock in this defeat. And boom, I thought and as it fades, I was like, that is a great ending to this movie.
And then when we cut to...
Yeah, because I was sitting there because like it was just that right there. That it's like, oh, that is really what this movie is saying, is that no matter, like, even though there is a victory, like she's not getting killed. What victory does she have? She's still been assaulted. And now
her husband's still an asshole.
And he's being celebrated while she gets to live. And it's just in this like weird like sadness. And then we cut to the meadow and the kid.
Yeah, I felt like I was missing.
Was
I missing something in that scene? I didn't really understand what.
And then it was to show the historical accuracy. She continued to live a long life after he died in the Crusades. They had 2 more children, and she just never remarried and just lived a happy life running the estate.
Did you?
I read that. That's historically like in the books of what happened.
Okay.
So they show that. So, but then it's kind of showing that it's taking away the message of what this movie was saying, just to show that, oh, she did live a happy life. But that doesn't take away what happened to her.
Yeah.
And what the message of this movie is saying about the power of men is going to silence the voices of women, Yeah,
it kind of made like correct me if I'm wrong, but in layman's terms, like, the ending, the final shot of the meadow and everything felt very like, see, she's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, is she? I mean,
it's like, no, not really.
It's like,
I mean, it kind of does tie though into what she was saying after she gave birth about how now that she has known a child's love and the connection she has, she probably would have kept her mouth shut.
Yeah.
If it meant not being dying and not being around her child. It's not even for her. It is, but it's because
what you mean,
she now wants to be the mother and the present in this child's life, and maybe she's now regretting even bringing it up because of the situation. So it kind of ties into that.
It does, but
I just don't think it was executed very well.
But that's not the message of what the movie was trying to say.
Yeah.
The message of what the movie was trying to say was in that final shot, or was in that ending scene shot of the muffled celebration around her. Mm-hmm. And all of that. It's just like that. I feel like literally you cut out just that bit of her in the meadow at the end, and the movie's message is there. It's kind of like the ending of The Favorite, that uncomfortable scene of her forcing her to do the act.
Yeah.
And cutting into the slow dissolve into the bunnies, and just like it. Just like that, you're ending your movie on the message you were trying to write, and it doesn't have. I mean, maybe Ridley Scott did want that, and the producer, so like studios were like, "This is a really sad ending. What happened to her?"
Yeah, too much of a negative ending.
Yeah. So, and I think that's where, and which is, and again, like that's, and with the movie, with it having that be the ending, it fits on what the movie kind of does as well. Sometimes it just feels like it isn't giving the proper notice to what Marguerite's experience was. And it focuses much more on the men's perspective. But again, the play of, we are talking about the men's perspective because that's what it was at the time,
Well, yeah.
It's like the men's voice, like the theme of men's voices at this general, are just so verbose and loud.
Yeah, I mean, because even then it's like, and I mean, I think that's why Jodie was like so phenomenal in this too. She was acting with so little lines, because in this dynamic is a woman is seen, not heard.
Yeah,
and so I think that was very on purpose, and I don't think that to make it period accurate and to really kind of show the hardship, you kind of have to keep her quiet and, you know, because that's just, especially that it's like, in what this movie, I heard this great quote and I can't remember exactly, but it's like, this is a great example of, it's not entirely a product of your time. It's a product of peer pressure. And that's what a lot of this is. A lot of this is peer pressure of the courts and what are people going to say. And it's this kind of weird high school dynamic. It's about your name, you know, and even that, a lot of it's about reputation in your name and everyone else. And even with this whole God's going to choose who's the truth sayer via
by the
combat. And even then it's like, okay, cool. Y'all agree. God said that they're right. He was wrong. But you can still see the shadow of doubt in everyone's minds that do not believe that Legree did it. And so it's like, yeah, great, cool. You both live, but your name is completely different, which is what you were concerned about how you were assaulted. Your husband is concerned about his name.
Yeah. Well,
your name is never the same. So it's like no one really did win at the end.
No.
Which I had made the prediction everyone was going to die, forgetting that this was also based on a true story.
I mean, but also I kind of thought everybody was going to die too, and that's why it was such based on a true story.
Yeah, I thought
like the fucked up shit like this has happened in history.
Yeah.
Like that has happened in history.
And it's like, you know, so everyone. I mean, and again, that might be why the ending is the way it was, because at the end of the day, everybody lost except Marguerite, in the sense of she now lives this quiet life in this peaceful meadow with her child,
running
the estates, which she was really good at.
Which I'm sure is shown in historical documentation that when Garouge was gone, his estates finally ran really well.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there. It's like when the men go off to war and, you know, the women take over.
Fuck. I feel like we kind of.
What are we at?
We're only just under an hour, like 57.
Then yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good calling
I
it.
really like we really succinct and tight.
No, like I really loved it. I really did. I thought it was a beautiful movie in the way it was shot. It was gloomy and very French and very.
Oh,
that did drive me nuts, though.
Yeah, thank you. Oh man. One of the
I don't know why that pisses me off so much, but
I think, and I think this is kind of just like now we're not seeing this as much, and I think this movie might have been really the last or tail end of the whole. If it's going to be a movie about French people, maybe there should be a little bit more of a French accent-ish.
No, but then you get the man.
French accent's really fucking hard.
No, but then you get the man in the iron mask. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like. It's like a few French words here and there, but then very clearly American. Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing is like.
Also, I felt like some of the language in this movie felt a little too modern at times as well.
Yeah.
Like the way, just some of the stuff that Pierre would be saying. It's kind of like Ben Affleck is like, I kind of know the lines. Yeah.
You need to, I don't know, but it's like, that's the thing too about like Ridley Scott, you know, I mean. Gladiator, like
Gladiator's a good example of that too.
Takes place in ancient Rome, and the town's pretty modern. But I mean, that's the thing though, is I've always been kind of conflicted with that. You know, there's this movie I really remember enjoying, The 13th Warrior, with Antonio Banderas.
Yeah,
and I think he's Arabic in that. He speaks Arabic. I can't remember.
Sounds right.
You're right.
That sounds right.
And he ends up meeting these Vikings, and he's a poet. He's literate, and he can read and write and whatever.
He learns their language,
and he learns their language by listening to conversations. And it was really Hollywoody and
that scene where they're like, it's all of a sudden you start to hear like words.
Yeah,
it starts to become English slowly.
But it was cool because I liked it.
It's a cool scene, but it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but I liked it because at least as the audience is explaining to us without being like, here's a translator. You know, it's like. Now, since we're following his perspective of the situation, he's learning the language. We're learning the language. It's tropey. I think you could do it now in a better way. I think it's a good idea that you could maybe expand upon. But I just think also it'd be really cool if, you know, you really got committed actors or like, hey, we're doing this movie. It takes place in 1386 France. We want you to learn French if you want to be in it. They're like, well, I don't want to do that. Then be like, then you're not going to be in the movie. because I, the director, Ridley Scott, want you to learn French to be in this movie.
Also, got to remember this was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, so
Yeah.
they wrote the common language.
Yeah, but I just think that it would just be really cool because, like I was saying last night about it too, I just feel like it makes us Americans look really ignorant, and close-minded. Like the fact that Mel Gibson did Apocalypto and actually put it in the language and people were
upset
about that is kind of my case in point, because I remember even at the time I was in high school when that movie came out, something like that. It was at Hollywood Video or Blockbuster. Those places were still open. I remember renting it, and I remember on the shelf it said warning in whatever, I can't remember what the technical name of the actual name of the language is, but in this language, not in English, just a heads up, And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, why would we be surprised by that? That's like watching a movie for a Spanish movie and it being in Spanish. You'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? Now in this country, it ain't. And it's just, I just kind of would like.
Oh, we're there again too.
I would just like movies that take, it's not bad to hear another language and hear conversations in it. And I've been a subtitles foreign film fan for majority of my adult life, so it really doesn't bug me. I mean, I'll definitely not be in the mood for it. I'll be like, I don't really want to sit there and read everything they're saying.
Yeah.
But, it's like if I want to watch like a Korean drama or something, I'm like, I have to be in the mood to sit there and really interact with it. Or
an anime that you want to watch dubbed.
Yeah, like I don't watch anything dubbed. I cannot handle it.
No, not dubbed, sorry, in subtitle.
Yeah.
Like, there's some animes I don't mind dubbed.
I can't do it. I can't stand the quality of it most of the time, and it sounds annoying. And
the dub on an anime?
Just dubbed. I don't like dubbed. I don't like dubbed anything. Like it just, and because of that too, it's like I want to like. It's always it is fun to do because like let's say you have the subtitles on for the actual language in English.
Oh yeah.
And then you have the English dubbed on,
and you see the difference.
Oh, it's crazy. It's actually kind of crazy. You're like, so we don't have a way to say that. That's as close as we got. The polar bear's on top of the ring. Okay, got it. Like, oh, sure, whatever. But yeah, I just that always irritates me. And like, Man in the Iron Mask is a great example of the opposite of the whole apocalypto thing of just fucking John Malkovich walking around being a Frenchman. You're like, sure. And everyone else is English, but here's John Malkovich with whatever the fucking kind of accent he has.
Where's my croissant, fuck face?
Yeah. And this was kind of like that too, and it's like it just I don't know. It's like they're walking around speaking English, and then suddenly, Monsieur, can I get the baguette? And you're like, shut the fuck up! Like what this rant? It's like commit or don't. I guess is my issue.
I feel like we're now moving towards more of you should commit to that. If it's,
if you're gonna set it in that, it's and that I did get over it. I got enthralled, invested in the movie enough that I got over that whole thing, and it only really pops out when they would like be talking to each other and like they'd be arguing about Pierre, and it wasn't Pierre, it was Pierre. Pierre has taken from me like that, like Pierre has taken from me everything that I hold, and you're like, I don't know. It does bug the shit out of me.
It should. I agree with you. I think it's jarring, is what it is.
It's just, and I think it would be fucking cool. Like, how cool would it have been to have Ben Affleck all blonded out with his little blonde tips and his blonde goatee, wearing all gold regal outfits, just losing his shit in French? That would have been fucking cool.
I would love to see that because it would be crazy to see Ben Affleck learn French.
Yeah,
because there's one thing that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are really good actors. Things like that are not their forte.
What, accents and stuff?
Yeah. They're American Northeast boys.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about like Good Will Hunting.
They got enough fight in Dunkin' Donuts probably multiple times.
Did you say that knowing that Ben Affleck is the spokesperson for Dunkin' Donuts?
They're from New England.
What?
They're from New England.
No, but I know Ben Affleck is in all the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, it's because he's from New England.
Okay, I lost you. Anyways,
I guess you just don't know that that stigma of Bostonites and fighting in Dunkin' Donuts.
No.
Oh yeah, that's a stigma.
Oh. Is it true?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then stop fighting in Dunkin' Donuts and problem solved, I guess. It's a weird place to throw down. Do they do it in the Dunkin' Donuts, or is it like, all right, parking lot?
No, it's more of just Boston. Like, never mind. If I have to explain it, it's not funny. You know what I mean?
I didn't find it really funny to begin with. But just answer me that. Is it in the donut or is it outside the donut?
Think of just like any fucking thing that happens. It's not okay. It's not like they're like, meet me at the Dunkin' Donuts.
No, I know, but that's what I'm asking. They're in the Dunkin' Donuts. They get into an altercation. Do they just throw down in line, or do they do
it's Boston. They'll throw down wherever the fuck they want.
Meet me in the parking lot?
No, it's like, now I'm gonna punch you in the face because we're from Boston.
Parking lot.
In the parking lot.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
The Departed.
Harder.
Are you? I'm not a cap. All right. I feel like we could wrap up. What are you giving it?
I give it a 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's funny. I feel like the last couple weeks I've just been a 0.5 lower than
What,
you.
you wanted 3.5?
I was feeling the 3.5.
I think a 4 because it's like I understand your point about you feeling like the message wasn't really nailed in. I think it was, because I also think it's again an entire movie about perspective. I think it's kind of how you look at the whole situation as a whole. Mm-hmm. But I think the acting was great. The cinematography was great.
Sorry, your pause was like, because I couldn't tell if you were waiting for me to respond. If you're trying to think
because I was like thinking, and then because then I got stuck on the whole not being in French thing, and I guess that would knock it down. But it's like, to me, that's not the biggest deal, because he's an American director making a movie for an American audience, so it being in English is not crazy.
No, and I don't think it being in English is the crazy thing. I just think it's just some of the dialogue just felt too modern.
Well, but that's the thing, though, is like, I also want to be careful about that, because we are not versed historians.
Yeah.
And for the author of the book to be like, yeah, because giving it a 75% accurate is pretty high.
There's the thing is that
for not being a documentary,
it's like, it's this, I don't know how much it's actually, because the book itself isn't split like in this 3-point perspective. The book itself just tells the events through a semi-fictionalized lens.
Yeah, but from collecting letters and correspondence.
Yeah. So, and for Jaeger, it's his closest historical interpretation of it, documented put into a narrative sense. Mm-hmm. And now we have Damon and Affleck and Scott who take that and put the three perspectives together, or three separate perspectives, to create this narrative, and still following it 75% historically accurate, because there's probably stuff. It wasn't just all from the book historical stuff that they're doing.
No, because they had an advisor,
an historian,
and
yeah. So I forget where I was going with that.
Well, but if you break into 3 parts, it being 75% is the 2 males' perspectives that we have a lot of evidence of, and then the last third is her perspective, which they had to fill in the gaps.
Yes.
Which it's like, yeah, I mean, so that's pretty impressive to me, because of the fact, also because of the time period we're talking about, and there not really being enough real hard evidence. Yeah. And even then, too, at the end of the day, the evidence brought was he said, she said in this particular situation, that they then Jean took it to this point because the only reason they even said, yeah, okay, let's do it, it's because all other avenues were exhausted. It's not like they just jumped to death, duel to the death. You had to go through all these different channels, and then finally, if we couldn't come to a conclusion, then you can kill each other. Yeah. And then we'll throw it in God's hands.
This is a crazy time. I did a little bit of research on King Charles VI as well.
Yeah, he was fun.
Yeah, he was a psychopath.
He looked like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool.
Apparently...
him and Joffrey have been friends.
Yeah, I feel like Joffrey might have been very much inspired by him, actually.
It was fun. Just sitting there like... blood. It was crazy.
It's weird to think of that time of France, because literally his father, King Charles V, was known as King Charles the Wise, and helped.
What was wrong with this one? What was wrong with this kid?
He was just sick in the head.
He was just a psycho.
He was literally just sick in the head.
He was just like blood and violence and death and mayhem.
I don't know if maybe like what happened to him was upbringing. I don't know, but his father like helped reign a high time in France for like 30 years. And then it was followed by this nightmare of a kid.
Caligula 2.0.
Yeah. And that's what, I mean, I think King Charles VI, I didn't read this, but I think, if I remember correctly from my history knowledge, one of the leading factors going into the Crusades, actually. That king, was one of the main issues.
He's just making a timeline. It's kind of interesting.
King Charles VI?
No, Ridley Scott, because Kingdom of Heaven is about the Crusades.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Why would you want to give it a 3.5?
I just, because I feel like it. I agree with everything you said, and I'm willing to actually just like settle up with a 4. My biggest thing was I just felt like I think that ending just really just robbed me and the audiences of what the actual message they were trying to say was. And that really ending just kind of made me go, well, fuck. You had it.
Well, they do say the last 10 minutes, you know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair because The Favorite we gave a 4.5.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I do think that
I don't think it's definitely not as. Yeah, it's nowhere up there. I mean, like I said, I'm fine to give it a 4.
Well, I was just curious because, you know, there is a lot of similarities, especially in The Favorite. More of this because you have
The Favorite is a lot more artistic. I don't want to say.
Well, you still have the trifecta element. They both have the trifecta.
Yeah.
And they do have the women's perspective. Obviously, this one is quieter because of the fact of the situation we're in. And even with The Favorite, it's different because this is the queen and her advisor. This is the wife of a knight. You know, when it comes to the court status, they're pretty low.
Squire turned knight.
Yeah, they're pretty low on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Of who's going to listen, who's going to give a fuck, you know.
These people are like kind of like.
They're nobodies.
Yeah.
Really? They like, he has a name.
Yeah.
To him, but because that's more of his father and his grandfather's lineage.
Like, this isn't the Lannisters.
No.
This is, I
don't know. I'm not that kind of nerd.
I can't think.
I don't know.
Because we don't follow any of them in the Game of Thrones stories.
Yeah. You know, you're not one of these lower houses. And so I think that was a big difference too. Is like, you know, this is the queen and her situation. And you're going to fucking listen to her. Why? She's the queen.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. But this was a different situation, but it still has a lot of similarities in the idea of, you know, just what life was like in these.
Well, and the message of what they were trying to, you know, say.
And say.
As a film. And
I think The Favorite did do it better, but I think that this was a pretty damn interesting movie. And I think it would be one of those to watch again. Only in the sense of because of the perspective, because of the unreliable narration, you would be catching things again. And something I was really trying to keep track of too was even the fight scenes. And that was kind of hard because they were just like, those fight scenes packed such a punch. Even the Last Duel, it was fucking dope. Like you could feel it. Like when they were wailing into each other, you could feel it come through the screen like you were getting hit in the chest. And I really appreciate that because that's really...
One final thought we should be wrapping up with those fight scenes is I was interested... Once we got to Legree, and when you saw Carouge get knocked off his horse immediately, but then charge back in and is actually a good fighter. I thought it was going to turn into like, oh, is the dude just a bumbling fool who gets lucky on the battlefield?
No, it's like
constantly.
He's good at killing people.
Yeah.
With his bare
He's
hands.
a killing machine.
He's a killing machine.
So then it's like, oh, that's probably those moments of him in battle might be the most accurate of his perspective.
Because even Legree said too, I will never bet against him on the battlefield. Like, the dude's a fucking animal. And he is. But even then I would like to watch it again for those fight scenes to see what the similarities are because Carouge is like, I've saved his life 3 times or something like that. And you're like, let's watch those fight scenes again to see actually how much you're
they're only in one battle together.
That we see, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because in the other time he's in Scotland by himself. He's not with Legree.
Why are they running?
Because they're about to get fucked up. But yeah, I say, I give it a 4. That's what I want to give it.
I'm good. Yeah,
Cool.
I'll settle with that. I like how it's almost like literally 20 minutes ago we said, no, we could probably wrap it up.
Yeah, we had our final thoughts.
20 minutes of final thoughts.
20 minutes of final thoughts.
We're still unsure what we're going to do next week.
Yeah, let me sit on it for a second. For next week's connection, the website said Idris Elba to Jessica Chastain.
Idris Elba to Jessica Chastain.
So that's the next one.
Idris, Bellatrix. Harry Potter. That's not a weird thing that I do. Like I ramble onto something. I'm like, wait, what is that? And then I have to find it. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I do that all the time.
I haven't noticed.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was episode 234 of The Last Duel, which we gave a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it.
Oh shit, I didn't write it down. Who was it again? What is our connection?
No, Idris Elba to Jessica Chastain.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you can come up with a connection with them, go ahead and do that. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all that. On there are promos. On those promos are our Linktree link, and then you can find everywhere we are. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, blah, 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 blah.
Places.
Things. This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.
Mixtape.